back to Fresh from the Trollbox, the BitMEX Trader podcast with our CEO, Stephan. I'm Uzi, and I'm pretty stressed because this week was not an easy week for crypto traders. It's been exciting. We have seen a lot of price action. And Stephan, I see you're shaking your head. I'm sure it's been exciting for you too. So how was your week trading?
I wouldn't say disastrous, that's too strong, but that wasn't, as you say, an easy week. And I guess that resonates with many of our listeners and watchers here. Uh, and basically why, we have briefly spoken before. Actually, it's a nice environment. News came out, generally positive sentiment towards crypto, right? So we have the approval of the ETH ETF. We have the vote in the US on the famous SAB 121, which between you and me is a non-news. I mean, content-wise, that's basically nothing. But what we see is that sentiment is slowly shifting from totally anti-crypto to, okay, let's accept that it will become a mass market asset. I think that's the news. It's not the thing itself. And even if you look at Republicans, they have, sorry to say, no clue what they talk about, but I don't care as long as it's positive and we will go into the direction of acknowledging that it will become a mass market asset. So that's the good thing. But if you then look at the behavior of the coins, it's completely erratic, basically. I mean, not long term. If you look week on week, with hindsight, that's all good, right? I mean, ETH is up, what did I have, like 22%, 22.5%, and the others pretty stable. But if you look then at the charts, it's like going up and going down. So we went, in a way, this week was neither macro trading except for ETH, but this was waiting for the news. So first we had the pre-news cycle of buying before the news, and then we had a little bit of sell the news once it has been done. And basically that's for me like, yeah, okay. But the rest is basically neither macro because we hadn't had any real news. It's not really chart trading or technical analysis. I mean, yes, you can come up with something, but basically this week has been noise trading. I mean, really good old FX and equities noise trading like in the 80s. You just needed to be in the pit, so to say, listen to news, listen to rumors, how loud are people shouting, and then you say, do you go long or short? That's basically it, but in a kind of, I would say, even non-predictable way. I mean, we stayed in the ranges. That's a good one, and we have spoke about that earlier. But basically, that's it. So what I found interesting is that yes, on ETH the news were the approvals of the ETF. But if you compare it to Solana, which is the basically competitor to that, nothing. I mean, we had the spike, so we went up from, I think, like 165-ish to even close to 190, and now we are back to 165-ish, which is like, that's a hell lot of a ride, right? Depending on where you are. If you are short, you have been caught by surprise by the upswing, and probably you needed to close some positions. And once you establish like, okay, now that is it, you go long, and then it goes down. It's quite difficult to cope with that. And basically, even as an individual trader, you would need to be in front of the screen 24/7. I mean, I have been caught by surprise twice overnight, basically. I mean, everything with risk management, like my stop losses, but they were triggered, right? So now I got fed up, I have to say. So a little bit of, I mean, not so much marketing, but what I did, frankly, today was I was fed up with my Bitcoin positions, and I said, no perps. So I invested a bit of money into options and bought a nice butterfly at 68. So I went long call and long put at the same time, which basically means as long as we have a dramatic price action, I will earn some money either on the way up or on the way down. And now let's see what the weekend brings.
Yeah. Interesting, right? So you're basically now betting on volatility more than,
Yes.
or increasing volatility more than price direction. And I mean, you buy that kind of in the middle of the price range that you predicted yourself. We saw that 60, 61 was the bottom, and we saw that last week. We discussed it. You really called it well. We now tested the top at 70, broke through it for a moment, pretty quickly retraced. as of us speaking now, we're hovering around the 67 range, 67,500 range. And really, the one asset that stood out this week was ETH, with a $600 candle in an hour, upon, I guess, Bloomberg's reporting really of ETH approval likely. But any other asset, had big swings. And I agree. I mean, personally, also, it's been, I want to call it, I like the term noise trading. I think that's very accurate. It's been a week of those nights where you suddenly wake up at 3 a.m. for some reason, and you tend to quickly check. It's not healthy. And yes, stop losses. I had a couple of them too. They got triggered, but it was sometimes these weeks where you're like, exactly, that's what I don't want. When it falls down and jumps up immediately again. So it was, I want to call it capital intensive trading. So either you're willing to put up enough collateral, or you're very, very diligent with your stop losses and set them very close to your price expectation. But it's been, it's been good, good for learning, but it's not been a very profitable week.
I mean, which then comes back, as you say, on volatility. I think you said that if you look at volatility, I think it was like March time, we had much higher absolute volatility.
Yeah.
But the thing was, it was one directional. So everyone who just went with the market earned some money, which is good for the market as such and good for every trader because it feels good, right? Now we have, I mean, it's not, there is no two-way volatility, but basically two-way volatility, meaning it can go up or down at any time. So, which makes it much more difficult with linear products. So that's why, as I said, I now said I'm fed up.
Yeah.
You need to invest more money for sure. It's as you say, more capital intense because you need to pay the premium. But with that, I'm done, right? I just can lay back, have a drink, and if volatility kicks in either way, I will make my money. And this is something to play around with, but it's a different kind of trading compared to perps trading.
The one directional one, yeah. Can you walk us through actually what is it that you bought? So you bought a butterfly, which means you're betting on volatility.
Yes.
How did you buy it? And maybe also, if you don't mind sharing a little bit, what were the prices that you paid, and sort of what is your win range now, so that we can share a little bit more about how it really works.
I mean, I need to recall that basically, but what I did, I mean, a butterfly is the definition of going long put and long call at the same time. So that means long call means, so I bought both at the strike price of 68,000. So that means as long as Bitcoin stays at 68,000, I will have paid my premium and I get nothing back. So this is basically you have a guaranteed loss if everything stays as it is. So if Bitcoin goes over 68,000, I will win on my long call. And if it goes below 68,000, I will win on my long put. And basically 1-to-1 based on the price change of Bitcoin. So what I did is I bought a call with, I need to look it up, with maturity in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it means in 2 weeks, something for me to make money needs to happen. And the price was roughly, I think, around 2,300 to 2,600 US dollar for one Bitcoin long, or for one Bitcoin. So one Bitcoin long call, one Bitcoin long put. So I paid in total for one Bitcoin basically 5,000. So that means, which is quite a drastic one, Bitcoin will need to move by around 5,000 to be in the green again.
Mm-hmm.
So as you say, it's really on volatility. I mean, you can on our platform together with PowerTrade. The nice thing is you don't need to go in with one Bitcoin. So you can go in like with 0.1 Bitcoin, right? Or even 0.01 Bitcoin. That's the minimum lot size. So it becomes affordable. $5,000 sounds like a lot of money for just one trade. And basically it's gone, right? I mean, this is a premium. The funny thing is, if you believe, and that's the interesting thing, so that is just my positioning. What you could do as well, even more interesting for some people, if you believe we will be in that range, and it won't change, you sell it. You go short call and short put, and you actually receive then those $5,000. Which means as long as you stay in that range, you have earned some money. Problem is, if it goes out of the range, then you need to pay, and then you're back in the same payout profile like with a perp. So the thing really is, what is your expectation? What is the noise that you perceive in the market? As I'm like an optimistic person, and it's a bit degenerate. I mean, just for the not so experienced traders and listeners and watchers and whatever, or spectators. Actually, you see it, I bet on a lot of volatility. Actually, my bet is that we will break the 70,000. This is on the way up, my bet, basically. And if you remember some of our conversations earlier, we have support lines even well below 60,000. So for me, it was, hey, I'll invest some money basically for the option premium. But basically for 2 weeks, if we have a dramatic change, I will make some money. And this is my bet. If you believe we will stay boringly in this narrow range, like between 63 and 70, actually do the sell thing, right? I mean, go short. But you need to be aware of the risks, right? So, but this is basically what I did.
Yeah, thank you very much. And as you say, right, traders can replicate this trade on BitMEX with even smaller numbers if you wanted to give it a try. Also, you can either buy it as you did probably in the order book, or you can just buy it through an RFQ, and we'll share the prices. So yeah, very interesting. Thank you very much for talking us through. I guess last but not least, really the sad news of today, which we just received an hour before this call. The original Doge has died. The dog that became famous for being the face of the meme coin, unfortunately, has passed away in Japan. And with that, the race for meme coins is on anyway, with Ethereum now approved. I think it also is a bit of a stamp of approval to the Ethereum chain as a whole. And Pepe being maybe the largest meme coin that is running on Ethereum, has had a very strong upswing, but there's more meme coins. There's definitely more assets on Ethereum, of course. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the chain overall will perform, how the competition against Solana and other chains is happening, and what happens to the meme coins that are now with the seal of the president almost.
Maybe we get an indecision 2024 meme coin. That would be nice.
Excellent. Well, with that, Stephan, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you next week.
We'll speak about my butterfly next week. Yes.
We'll see how your butterfly does. Yeah. If it's still flying or it's back to warm.
Yeah.
In its cocoon. Bye.
Right. Hey, bye.